I never wanted to leave because, I always like having conversations with you, man.
Man, you're like
But
my
I am
ex-girlfriend.
absolutely
You never
looking forward.
leave. At some point, I'm going to kick you out. You know that. War Games is nearly upon us. We are 24 hours away from Survivor Series in Chicago tomorrow night. This was the go-home episode of SmackDown. 16,000 plus inside the Allstate Arena. We got a glimpse of what the set is going to look like tomorrow night. There actually is no set. They removed the set. They removed the set because they're hot and they can sell tickets, and so why not if you can sell more? Over 16,000 people in the building, right? So why not? So they have a very bare bones set. What's cool about it is, and we've seen this with some of their pay-per-views this year, you can see the fans behind the entranceway. I always like that. Just fills it in more, just looks nicer on camera. So that's the look they're going for with Survivor Series tomorrow night. I love it when they do that. But after winning in War Games last year was the first time we got a main roster War Games in WWE. And if you remember who was standing tall at the end of SmackDown last year, it was Roman Reigns and the Bloodline. 1 year later, the Bloodline is not on the Survivor Series card at all. Not only is the Bloodline not on the Survivor Series card, they were not even on the show tonight. And this is the first SmackDown that I can remember in I don't even know how long that had no Bloodline representation whatsoever. There was no Roman Reigns. There was no Paul Heyman. There was no promo package. There was no Solo Sikoa. There was no Jimmy Uso. Nothing. No Bloodline on this show at all tonight. And it was kind of refreshing, to be honest with you. On the other hand, it would have been nice to find something to replace the Bloodline with that was interesting and exciting. They didn't do that. So we didn't really have a good replacement for the Bloodline here on this show. This was a very paint-by-numbers go-home show. They did the things that they had to do as far as trying to build intrigue and create distrust with members of the War Games match. They hit all the notes that you would expect them to hit. It just didn't make for a very exciting show. Tonight was also Tag Team Hell. I am dubbing tonight's episode of SmackDown Tag Team Hell. All tag team matches up and down the card. Not a singles match to be found. Not a single singles match up and down the card tonight. It was all tag team matches, and that is part of the problem. This leads into something else I wanted to mention here. I said Roman Reigns was nowhere to be found on the show tonight because Roman Reigns is not at Survivor Series. Roman Reigns is not in War Games. Roman Reigns is not defending his title. Austin Theory beats Rey Mysterio to be, or not Austin Theory, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the past U.S. champion. The current U.S. champion, Logan Paul, beats Rey Mysterio at Crown Jewel. We haven't seen him once since he won that title at Crown Jewel. So when you have two absentee champions on SmackDown, the reason that you can go ahead and have up and down the card just tag team matches all night is because until you are ready to get your champions back on the show, and who the hell knows when that's going to be, you don't have to bother to even begin building challengers for them because very likely we're not going to see either one of them defending their title until the Royal Rumble, which is still 2 months away. So if you were expecting them to begin the process, give us some kind of sense about who might challenge Roman next for the title, and apparently it's not going to be LA Knight again. It's going to be somebody else. My guess is going to be AJ Styles, and that's why they're holding him off. When he was supposed to come back a few weeks ago, he's still not back yet. That's my guess for the Royal Rumble. That the title match is going to end up being Roman Reigns defending against AJ Styles after the Bloodline took him out all those weeks ago and sent him off in an ambulance. The man got sent off in an ambulance. The first thing he should do when he comes back is want to tear down the Bloodline. But until we get closer to the Royal Rumble, this is the sort of thing that we're going to get. You're not going to get any obvious challengers. You're not going to have some kind of tournament to crown a number one contender. I don't know what they're going to do. But you end up with a show like this, which was focused on Survivor Series anyway, so not that I expected them to give us even a morsel of a hint about who's coming up next as far as number one contenders are concerned. Tonight's main event was a tag team match. What else? With 4 of the women involved in the War Games match tomorrow night. We had Bayley and Asuka against Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. Now, was this to determine the advantage in War Games? Of course not. They're leaving that up to a fan poll. We'll find out tomorrow who gets the advantage in War Games. But what happened at the end of the show did surprise me as far as the outcome because the heels went over. And there is dissension in the ranks of the babyface squad between Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch because they do not like each other. That is the story coming out of the main event tonight. Surprised me because I had Damage Control pegged to win in War Games tomorrow. And I'm going to stick with my pick. I still think the babyfaces are going to get the advantage. But that surprised me. I was not expecting that. I thought that the babyfaces would go over, and then the heels would win tomorrow night. I still feel that way, but it does create some doubt that wasn't there before, based on the finish of that main event. LA Knight. I mentioned Roman Reigns a little while ago, and Logan Paul. LA Knight, not on the Survivor Series card tomorrow. He was in a tag team match tonight. Hey, at least he got to be in the building in Chicago. It wasn't on pay-per-view. It's not on Peacock. But LA Knight teamed up with Kevin Owens, who also is not on the show tomorrow. He was in War Games last year. And they were in a tag team match against Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. But for those wondering if they would come up with a last-minute addition to the Survivor Series card, something for LA Knight, maybe him in there against Solo Sikoa to get somebody from the Bloodline on the card. No Bloodline, no LA Knight on the show tomorrow. And guess who else is not going to be on the show tomorrow? Carlito, who was announced for a match with Santos Escobar, but they ran an angle on the show tonight where Carlito has been knocked out of Survivor Series, and in his place against Santos Escobar will be Dragon Lee, who's getting the big push right now. Triple H is all in on Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee is fantastic. That's going to be a fantastic match at Survivor Series tomorrow. Even better than Carlito against Escobar would have been. So that's a plus. They just upgraded the card tomorrow night. That was the most newsworthy thing on the show. The change in the Survivor Series card in that undercard match was the most noteworthy thing that happened on the show tonight. And beyond that, it was just a bunch of filler, elsewhere on the card. Not much else to really speak of, but we will speak about it nonetheless because that's why we're here. We're here to dissect this show from top to bottom. I am the Solomonster. This is your WWE Smackdown review for Black Friday, November 24th, 2023. I don't know how many of you got any Black Friday deals. I can tell you, however, that if you would like to take advantage of a Black Friday deal, you may do so because the sale is still ongoing on Pro Wrestling Tees. And so if you want at least 20% off all shirts in our Sound Off store, all you got to do is go to prowrestlingtees.com/Solomonster Sounds Off. You'll see 30 plus shirts there for the taking. Pick one, pick them all, but make sure you do it before November 27th. That way you get the discount. No promo code needed. Just jump on the site and grab a Sound Off shirt. Maybe you want to grab a GWO shirt. If you're one of our channel members, you could do that too. But I hope everybody had a very happy Thanksgiving. We are celebrating 16 years of the Solomonster Sounds Off all November long. And so you will be seeing more classic clips, as you saw at the top of the stream here, splicing them in throughout the show here tonight. A little trip down memory lane, some of the more memorable moments, humorous moments here on the streams over the last few years. See, the YouTube stuff really only goes back about 4 years. The podcast goes back 16 years. The YouTube stuff, though, is a little more recent, but we'll go through some more clips as we go along here. Like and subscribe. 400 likes is the goal for Be the Booker. I think we're already halfway there, which is awesome. So get us to 400, and we will do Be the Booker. That's my promise to you. Super chats are open, and also don't forget, real quick, WrestleRumble.com. I'm going to be, on behalf of Wrestle Rumble, picking a random winner and giving away a Macho Man Randy Savage Legacy belt on the stream, on the Survivor Series review tomorrow night. Could be you. Silver Tower, of all people, just got himself banned by CM Punk. Well, Punk's not doing anything else this weekend, so he can be on the stream here banning people. I don't think he's got any other plans. He's more than happy to hang out with us. Maybe he'll chime in the live chat. Hey, you never know. CM Punk could pop in the live chat. Maybe he'll hang out with you guys tomorrow night. So the babyface team in the War Games match tomorrow night, Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair, and Shotzi were out to open the show tonight. This is what greeted us on the air as SmackDown came on live. A fan in the crowd holding up a sign right there, dead center. I just mizzed in my pants. See, look at this guy looking up to make sure his sign got on camera. This may be the biggest moment of this kid's life. This is where he peaked. Holding that sign up and getting it on television, it doesn't get any better than that for him. I hope it was worth it. So she addressed the elephant in the room. We have Charlotte in the ring, Bianca, Becky. Becky's in the ring. She introduces us to SmackDown. And Becky addresses the elephant in the room. That's a real sign, by the way. That is a real sign. Becky addresses the elephant in the room and says that she is teaming with, wink, wink, the person she's teaming with, because she would never pass up an opportunity to slap the head off of Damage Control. So that's the only reason why she agreed to be part of this War Games match, is because she wants to get her hands on Damage Control. Bianca said that they were going to go to war. Everybody had a chance to say something in this promo, right? Becky said her piece. Bianca said her piece. Charlotte later on had a little something to say, although not much. But we got to Shotzi. Shotzi is the one who, when you look at the lineup for this team, does not belong. Because her name is not up here with all the other names in the division. You got Becky, you got Charlotte, you got Bianca. They got WrestleMania main events to their name. I don't even know if Shotzi's ever had a WrestleMania match. None that I can recall. Maybe she was in a battle royal or something. So you can see there's a difference here as far as the names that are on this women's babyface team. So Shotzi now has the chance to speak her mind, and she was way over the top with her unhinged gimmick that she's doing here. She had the forced, fake, maniacal laughter. She sounds like the fucking Joker. So she's laughing maniacally, and she's talking about she could barely contain herself thinking about all the carnage at War Games. And she said Damage Control thought they humiliated her when they cut her hair, but they only made her stronger, more unpredictable, and unbreakable. And she said that she can't wait to unleash her madness on Damage Control. She was trying a little too hard here in this promo. So they all looked at her like she was nuts. And Charlotte said, oh yeah, what Shotzi said. And she also said that War Games would be the end of Damage Control. So Bayley's music hit. Oh, the fucking Judgment Day again. Look at this. You know, they were on the show tonight, the Judgment Day. You can't get away from these people. The Judgment, that was Bobbert, I think. Bobbert's Reviews. Bobbert Reviews. $32 super chat. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I did. I hope you did as well. I hope you stuffed yourself with all the food, all the turkey, all the dessert, the stuffing, the everything. The noodle pudding, everything. Thank you, Bobbert. Fucking Judgment Day, man. That's all they do is interrupt. So Bayley comes out by herself. She's got a microphone. She's in the aisleway. And she says that she thought she would never see the day where Becky and Charlotte were back together fighting the good fight. Bayley said that she knew Charlotte and Becky for at least 10 years. And Bayley said that Charlotte used to talk bad about Becky behind her back on those long car rides together, but don't worry, I never told her about them. And Becky did the same to Charlotte. Bayley said that it was two egos clashing. Oh, man. She said it was two egos clashing, fighting to the top. Bayley said that the man had gone soft since becoming a mother, and she noted that Becky was picked last, like the last kid in dodgeball. She got picked last. She was a last resort for the babyfaces. So Charlotte pointed out that Bayley was out here all by herself, and she wanted to know where the rest of her squad was. Becky then said that she didn't come to Chicago to talk. She came to Chicago to fight, and she challenged two members of Damage Control to take on her and Charlotte in tonight's main event. Bayley accepted and said that the babyfaces would implode. And then they hit her music, and they quickly stopped her music. And Bayley didn't know what was going on, and then they played her music. So we had a little music botch. Not much of a segment, but it set up the main event with Bayley trying to stir the pot. Trying to stir the pot between Becky and Charlotte ahead of tomorrow's War Games match. The Shotzi part was just absolute cringe, though. You know, whatever she was trying to do there, or whatever they told her to do, or told her how to act. Holy shit. Yeah, that was awful. But it was weird that Bayley was out there all by herself, as Charlotte pointed out during her promo. And it feeds into this picture they're trying to paint for us, which is that Bayley is the only one who does not see what is coming. We see what's coming. The audience can see what's coming. Bayley cannot see. She's got tunnel vision. She cannot see what her future holds. And it's nothing positive for her. But she can't see that. Now, after the break, Damage Control was in the back. The other members of Damage Control. They were in the back. They were talking to each other. And Bayley walked up to them and said, so, which one of you... which two of you are going to step in there later to fight Becky and Charlotte? And they all kind of looked at each other and they started talking in Japanese. And Dakota Kai's new role is to basically translate what they're saying. And Dakota says, look, Bayley, we really appreciate what you did for us, but they think that it should be you in the match later. And this caught Bayley by surprise. She was not expecting to hear that. And then Dakota looked around and said, it's going to be you and Asuka. Then Asuka put her arm around Bayley and said, no one is ready for them. So our main event for the night was officially set. However, that was one of many tag team matches that we had on this show. We had an Undisputed Tag Team Championship match up next. Finn Balor and Damian Priest, with Rhea Ripley in their corner, paying a visit to the Blue Brand to defend their titles against the Street Profits. So we had two heel teams in this match. But the Profits worked babyface. because one of the teams was going to have to work babyface. And it made sense for the challengers to be the one working babyface. Plus, you had Montez Ford, who's from Chicago, although he didn't get much of a big hometown reaction coming out, not that I could hear. Because, again, they're heels. And so they're not supposed to come out and get the big babyface reaction anymore. But there was a spot during the match where they did a Doomsday Blockbuster, and that did get a big reaction because it's a spectacular move. It looks great. So that got a big reaction. But Bobby Lashley was shown backstage. He was watching the match, and once again, BFAB showed up. You know, these two need to just go off in a room somewhere and just, you know, do their business and get it over with. Every week. She's showing up. She's flirting with this guy. He's flirting back. Just do it already. Just get it over with. So Ford sent Damian Priest to ringside. Priest, though, then sent Ford soaring, when he came out, soaring over the announce desk. And then Damian Priest, he struck the Randy Orton douche pose, right? He did the Randy Orton douche pose. I can't do it. I'm not a douche. But he did the pose, which I thought was very amusing. So now we know at least one name. We know who's taking an RKO or a punt kick in War Games tomorrow. I am very curious, by the way. You know, Randy Orton has been missing for 18 months. He had back surgery. Supposedly, his doctor or doctors have told him he really should not go back and wrestle again. I think that's what his father said. I think Bob Orton did some sort of virtual signing or something, and I think it was his father said, I think, that the doctors don't recommend he come back and wrestle again. And yet he's going to come back and he's going to wrestle. I wonder how often we see him using the RKO. Or if he doesn't try to phase it out and only use it as a special move on certain occasions, and maybe he goes to the punt kick, and the punt kick becomes his new finish. Very curious if he tones down the number of RKO. You know, for a guy who had back surgery and was told by his doctors, we don't think you should wrestle again, I don't think it's very smart for him to come back and be landing on his back in every match that he's going to be in. I would imagine he'll save the RKOs for those special occasions. We'll probably see at least one or two tomorrow night, but probably best for him to save them for special occasions. So I mentioned before there was a Doomsday Blockbuster spot. There was a double Doomsday Blockbuster where Montez Ford came off the top onto Finn Balor, and he got a near fall out of that. Damian Priest attempted a South of Heaven chokeslam. Angelo Dawkins avoided it. Street Profits attempted their new Revelation finish. This did not go according to plan. Damian Priest is a lot taller than a lot of the people that the Street Profits are normally in the ring with. And so he has those long legs. And whatever went wrong here, it came off a little wonky, and it looked like he landed and maybe he hurt his neck. They better hope he didn't hurt his neck. But he landed. It didn't look good. Ford cleared Balor from the ring, went up top for a top rope splash. This is where Rhea Ripley jumped up on the apron to run distraction with the referee. At that point, Balor was able to crotch Montez Ford on the top rope. He fell into the ring. Balor landed the double stomp from the top on Montez in his hometown, doing the job. And he gets the pin to retain the Undisputed Tag Team titles in under 10 minutes here for this championship match. This was a very lackluster match. Very lackluster championship match. And putting two heel teams in there against each other didn't help. As far as the crowd reaction is concerned. But this just felt like a watered down version of a match that I know we can see between these two teams. We didn't get that match tonight. That's not the match we got. So this was very disappointing, I thought. And again, it was a 9-minute match. It just felt like it was a tune-up match. For what, I don't know. They're not defending their titles at Survivor Series, but I guess it was a tune-up match for the Judgment Day going into War Games. I don't like the fact that they used it against the Profits, though, because they could use a big win right now. They've just been paired off relatively recently with Bobby Lashley. They just went heel, right? They're trying to get something going here. When the match was over, they cut back to Lashley in the back. He was incensed. He was fuming mad over their loss, and he walked off. They could have used the win here. I was figuring we might see someone from the babyface side of War Games interfere and cost the Judgment Day the tag team titles. for all the shit the Judgment Day has been putting all of the babyfaces through for months on Raw. It would have stood to reason that they would do something back to them. Put a little more heat on things going into War Games tomorrow night and cost Balor and Priest the titles. They didn't do that here. They're still the tag team champions, and I don't know what the plan is. Oh my God. Right on cue, though, I suppose. The Judgment Day back again. As I am talking about the Judgment Day. And all the times they've screwed with the baby faces, now they're screwing with me. Thank you, Silver Tower. Thank you very much. But what I was going to say is, I don't know who takes the titles from Balor and Priest. Are they just going to put them back on Cody and Jey Uso? Or maybe with Randy Orton coming back, would they do something where Orton and Cody become a temporary tag team? See, that would make more sense if Cody was a champion and then Orton and, him are doing the tag team thing, and then Orton drops him with an RKO, and you go into an Orton-Cody Rhodes feud. I would not be doing that before WrestleMania. Somebody asked me that the other day. Would you do Orton and Cody in the lead up to Mania to give Cody something to do, or would you do it after Mania? Absolutely 100%. You wait. You hold off on that until after WrestleMania. Orton's coming back for the first time in 18 months. The people are going to be overjoyed to see him. There's a lot of babyface juice in him. You wait until Cody wins the title at WrestleMania, and sometime after Mania, maybe not immediately after, but sometime after Mania, you do a program with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton for the world title. You don't do that before WrestleMania. So who gets the tag team titles? I mean, there's plenty of teams. You've got Alpha Academy, you've got DIY. I'm not saying that there aren't teams. None of them, though, are ready for that spot. You're not going to have the Alpha Academy beat the Judgment Day. DIY, they just got put together. They don't have enough juice behind them to be vaulted into the tag team titles yet. That would be very, very premature. So there's no obvious choice right now as far as who's going to take these titles from these two guys. I don't know who that's going to be. But again, I would have hoped for a better match than the one we got here. Unfortunately, that's not the one that we got. Now, backstage, the women's War Games babyface team were huddled together. They were talking. Charlotte and Becky, they got into an argument until Bianca stepped in and told them to focus on the match. She also told Becky that it was her idea. It wasn't Charlotte's idea to call you last week. Don't blame her. It was me. I'm the one who told Charlotte to call you. It was my idea. And Becky said that she didn't come to SmackDown to socialize with anybody. Instead, she was there to fight somebody. And then she left. And after this, we got a pretty good Dragon Lee vignette, which basically just highlighted him talking about his family and about his journey to WWE. Why is he staring at me? You notice that? Why is Randy Orton staring at me? Very unnerving. Hey, Wet Socks just became a channel member. What's going on, Wet Socks? That's one of the worst things I hate. I don't hate you, but I hate Wet Socks. Isn't that the fucking worst? That happened to me yesterday. I don't know what I stepped in. I think I dropped an ice cube or something. I had like a little puddle on the floor. Was wearing socks. I go, shit. It's the fucking worst. So we go right into the Grayson Waller effect. All week, they promoted the fact that he was going to have Kevin Owens, the suspended Kevin Owens. Nick Aldis suspended him a couple weeks ago. He was scheduled to be on the Grayson Waller effect. And so Waller's in the ring, and he's introducing Kevin Owens, but it was not Kevin Owens who came out. It was Austin Theory cosplaying as Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens never looked this good in his entire life. And I've seen Kevin Owens back in the early days of Ring of Honor, straight up until the way he looks today. I love Kevin Owens, but Kevin Owens never had the physique that Austin Theory did coming out dressed as Kevin Owens. So Theory, when he got to the ring, he gets inside. And Theory acts winded when he gets into the ring. And I thought that was pretty funny. So the two of them sit down, they begin to talk, and immediately we hear Kevin Owens' music again. And this time the real Kevin Owens comes out. He's got a microphone in his hand. And Waller points out that Owens is supposed to be suspended. What are you doing here? Owens tells him, didn't you know my suspension ended today? So he thought that Waller, in inviting him to be on his show here tonight, he thought that what Waller was doing was extending an olive branch and that Owens would come and they would hash out their differences. And yet here they are. He goes, what the hell is this? And Waller said, well, we're here to make fun of you. And Owens said, to make fun of me. And then he pointed out what I just did, which is that he's never looked better. If the whole point was to have Austin Theory mocking him and making fun of him, he goes, I've never looked better in my entire life. And then they realize, you know what? He's kind of right. He's got a point. So Waller noted how Owens cost him his match against LA Knight a few weeks ago. And in the course of talking about LA Knight here at this point, he mentioned LA Knight's name twice. And then Owens said, you know what happens when you keep saying somebody's name? Now, this was the point where the fans should have started a CM Punk chant. This was the perfect moment, Chicago. There were a few other times here during the show where they tried to start a CM Punk chant, and then it quickly died out. But, I mean, Kevin Owens is literally, you know what happens when you keep saying somebody's name? And they should have been showering him in CM Punk chants. There were no CM Punk chants. They missed their chance. Chicago, what happened? I thought Chicago was his town. That was the moment. I didn't hear any CM Punk chants. Instead, Theory mentioned LA Knight's name again, and sure enough, they played his music, and out comes LA Knight. In his gear. It's almost as if he knew there was a match coming up. So Knight called Theory A-Town Clown and said it didn't matter if Kevin Owens or anybody else was there. Waller was losing to him. That was a fact of life. Owens agreed, and Waller said that his opinion doesn't matter, so you pipe down. Theory and Waller decided to punch Owens and Knight, and the baby faces rather. They beat up the heels. They cleared them from the ring. They destroyed Waller's talk show set. And so this was the standard setup to a very predictable tag team. You could see it coming, obviously. I mean, the moment LA Knight came out there, you knew what this was going to lead to. The only question was, are they going to do it tonight, or are they going to save it for Survivor Series and add one more match to the show? They did not wait for Survivor Series. Instead, they did the match here on this show. And neither of these two men, not LA Knight, not Kevin Owens, are on the Survivor Series card tomorrow. So this was their way of getting in front of the Chicago fans and giving the Chicago fans their LA Knight appearance. This was their dose of LA Knight for the weekend. Because he ain't going to be there tomorrow because he's got no match at Survivor Series, which I don't know if that's any more or less ridiculous than not having your WWE champion on the show. I guess it isn't any more or less ridiculous than that. This led into Owens and Knight against Waller and Theory, which was joined already in progress after the break. After a hot tag from Knight, Owens took Waller and Theory out with super kicks. He climbed to the top. He hit a swanton on Waller for a near fall. Hey, Justin G, thank you very much. The Nia's Hole super chat. Theory and Waller turned things around. Owens attempted a comeback. Waller, though, pulled Knight from the apron. Theory hit a rolling blockbuster on Owens for a near fall. Theory drove Owens back into the heel corner, and Waller tagged in, hit a backbreaker. He tried for a middle rope elbow. Owens avoided it. He tagged in LA Knight. He ran wild. He hit this weird, it was like an over-the-shoulder, almost like a reverse power slam that I've never seen him use before. He followed that with a normal power slam, and then he did his running elbow drop off the ropes. Waller jumped in to break up the fall. Owens jumped into the ring to prevent the A-Town down attempt. And he dropped Waller with a stunner. Knight delivered a BFT, even though I wrote BLT. He delivered a BLT to Austin Theory. I hope he gave him a good tip. It's been a while since I've had a good BLT. That's actually fucking hilarious. And it works, too, in the context of what I wrote here. He delivered a BLT to him. And Theory took a great bump for the BLT. and Knight got the pin. Look, when you have a show like this, which was kind of a fucking bore tonight, okay, I'm not going to lie, you got to entertain yourself somehow. That's pretty funny. So anyway, this was the crowd-pleasing match because, again, they got to see Owens, who they like. They got to see LA Knight, who they like. Neither of them are on the pay-per-view tomorrow. This was their way of getting them into the building to do something this weekend. They gave them a match that has absolutely no bearing whatsoever on Survivor Series. No connection to anything happening on the show tomorrow, but again, it's what the fans wanted to see. This got twice as much time as the tag team title match did. Now, I know that LA Knight is way more over than anybody in the tag team title match, but still, there's something wrong with that. When you have an undisputed tag team title match that goes 9 minutes, and this actually went more than double. I think this went like 21 minutes. There's something wrong with that. I'm sorry. Now, Bianca Belair in the back confronted Becky Lynch, told her that she was wrong earlier. She said Charlotte was not trying to get smart with her. Bianca said that there was a time, where people thought that you and I being together like this would be impossible. But yet here we are. And she said that Becky needed to be on the same page with Charlotte in their main event later. Becky said, everybody seems to forget that I'm a hothead. She says she's Irish, she's a fighter, and Bianca is asking her to be someone she's not. Becky took a moment, and she told Bianca that she would be cool. See, I thought Kevin Owens was the hothead. I thought that was his gimmick. So now she's a hothead. So we have two hotheads on the show. Fine. Now we get to probably the segment on the show that has the biggest bearing on Survivor Series tomorrow and an actual development here on this show. We had Carlito on his way to the ring by himself. No Zelina Vega, Joaquin Wilde, Cruz del Toro, nobody else. He comes to the ring to address Santos Escobar ahead of what was scheduled to be their match tomorrow at Survivor Series. He said tomorrow night would be his first match at a WWE premium live event in nearly 13 years. I will remind you that Fastlane was only last month. 7 weeks ago. Now he came out late. He wasn't there from the opening bell, but he did have a match at Fastlane. I guess we're supposed to forget that. Maybe he was supposed to say singles match. Maybe he messed up the line and he was supposed to say singles. I will give him the benefit of the doubt. But no, this is not Carlito's first PLE match in 13 years. He had one last month. And he said, that's cool. But honestly, he said, all he could think about is his injured friend, mi hermano, Rey Mysterio. And all he can think about is getting his hands on the man responsible for injuring him, and that would be Santos Escobar. Escobar came out, and he said some horrible things about Rey. And he had a message for Carlito as well. Well, so Carlito says he has a message for him too. And, well, hold on a second here. Who is it in the, let me back up in the chat here for a second. Okay, yeah. No, look, I have seen Kevin Owens from his CZW days as well. What I was saying before is the first that I can remember seeing Kevin Owens in person was going back to the Ring of Honor days. When he was Kevin Steen and he was doing whatever he was doing with El Generico at the time. I've seen Kevin Owens through virtually every stage of his career, maybe except for the Canadian independence. And I am telling you that at no point during this man's career has he ever walked out looking like Austin Theory. Now, a lot of people don't look like Austin Theory. Austin Theory keeps himself in good shape. But at no point during his career has Kevin Owens ever walked out to the ring looking like Austin Theory. He should take that as a compliment, that he would come out dressed up like that tonight. That's all I was saying before. Anyway, Carlito's in the ring. And he says that he has a message he wants to deliver to Santos Escobar. Because I skipped this part before Escobar came out. He says he wants to deliver a message to him. He's going to deliver it in Spanish, though. So I didn't understand a fucking thing that he said. The end of the promo, though, the last line, when he reverted back to English, that I understood. It is debatable sometimes whether or not I always understand English, but tonight I did. And he said, whatever he said it with conviction in his voice. And then he said, Santos, you made a very big mistake. So then Escobar's music interrupts. Here comes Santos Escobar. And Escobar says, let me get this straight. He says, you of all people, you don't even have, now he showed on his hand, he has an LWO tattoo. You don't have one of these. You're not one of us. Right? And his voice is getting louder and louder. You can see the rage inside of him is building and building. And he goes, you're not even out here rocking the LWO colors. You're not representing the LWO colors. You're not part of this family. I am. Or he was. But you're not part of this family. The LWO was always my family. He says if it wasn't for Carlito, an outsider, his family would still be together. He says it's because of Carlito that Ray got hurt, and he's never coming back. He said that's because of Carlito. And Carlito, he ends up tackling him through the ropes, out to the floor. And the two of them fight at ringside, and Carlito, I guess it's more appropriate to say Carlito was the one kicking his ass. It was really a one-sided beatdown here. And then 30 seconds later, we have referees coming down to help break things up. So the referees are taking Escobar away. Carlito is still at ringside. Another 30 seconds goes by. All of a sudden, Escobar has reemerged behind Carlito, standing on top of the barricade. And he jumps off the barricade with a knee strike to Carlito's arm. And Carlito drops down to the ground, and he's clutching his arm in pain as they escorted Escobar to the back. And Escobar told him, you know, you love Ray so much, you can join him in the hospital. So we have another LWO injury angle here. They got to be careful. I mean, they're dropping like flies. They're not going to have anybody left at this rate. I love the fire again in Escobar's voice when we saw him do that first heel promo, which I thought was very good. It was a very strong promo. And again, he got very animated as he talked about how I was part of this LWO family, and you bring this other guy in, and he doesn't have the same passion for this that I do. And I just thought he did a very good job. And here was a very similar thing. You know, this. Let me tell you something. This Judgment Day, I'm about to enter myself into War Games. I want a piece of the Judgment Day too. I want a piece of Rhea Ripley and the Judgment Day. Keep interrupting my promos. Fucking guys. Hey, El Masse, thank you. Thank you for the $32. This Judgment Day is quickly getting on my shit list here. Anyway, I love the fire in his promo here from Escobar. Carlito, though. Carlito looked very tentative to me. If you go back and watch when he exits the ring and he is fighting outside with Escobar, he just looked, I don't know if he was lost or whatever, it just looked weird. He looked very, very tentative out there. You remember the comment I made last week? Carlito ran to the ring, and I joked. I said he ran to the ring. He looked like he rolled his ankle or something. That's the way he runs. He looked like he was hurt, legitimately hurt, like he was hiding an injury. And so now they do this injury angle here to explain the change in the match card for tomorrow. But it makes me wonder if maybe there is a real injury here. Maybe the reason they're doing this is it's not just an angle. Maybe there's a real injury. Maybe Carlito rolled his ankle after all. Because again, when he ran out to the ring, it was either last week or the week before. He looked hurt to me. Now they do an angle to bounce him out of the Survivor Series match, and they're going into a match with Dragon Lee. Because when they came back from the break, Carlito was in the back. He was holding his arm. And he got attacked again by Santos Escobar until Dragon Lee showed up to make the save. And he attacked Escobar, and he fought him off, and he chased him away. And then later in the show, Nick Aldis is being interviewed for an update on Carlito. And Nick Aldis informs us that Carlito is hurt. It's pretty serious, and he's not going to be ready for Survivor Series tomorrow. So he was about to announce that the match is postponed. Dragon Lee showed up and he begged him, please don't postpone the match. Let me take his place. And Aldis said, you want the spot? You got his spot. And so now the match for Survivor Series tomorrow is going to be Dragon Lee one-on-one with Carlito. Now, you have two guys in this match who really shouldn't be losing right now. You could have done Carlito and Escobar and held off on the Dragon Lee match. That's the only thing that makes me wonder if there is a real injury issue with Carlito going on here. And we'll wait and see if any reports come out about it. I would not at all be shocked, though, to find out that he does have like a minor injury. And so they decided to go with Dragon Lee and Escobar a little quicker than maybe they otherwise would have. But now, again, there's no doubt that this is going to be the better match, right? I mean, I like Carlito, but Dragon Lee against Santos Escobar is a much better match. It's an incredible match. And so these two are going to go out there at Survivor Series tomorrow, and they are not going to waste this opportunity. They are being given the spotlight in a singles match on pay-per-view to go out there and show the world what they can do. Escobar now, he's freshly heel. Dragon Lee's in the middle of a big push. He's being introduced now to the main roster audience. Every match we've seen him in, he gets over. Why does he get over? Because he's a very dynamic performer. He's an excellent, excellent worker who can go in there and do these spectacular moves and pull them off so effortlessly. Not just anybody can go in there and do what he does, and it gets over because the fans are like, wow, I've never seen that before, right? He's really fucking good. That's why they signed him. This is going to be the biggest platform that he has had so far since being called up to the main roster, which wasn't all that long ago. It was a matter of weeks. Triple H has big plans for Dragon Lee. You can tell he thinks very highly of him. These two are going to go out there and they see the opportunity they're being given. They're going to knock it out of the park. So all of a sudden, the card for Survivor Series just got upgraded. Even better now than what it was before. I don't mind the change. But Dragon Lee is going to have to take the loss here, I think, because this is a win that Escobar needs. Escobar is the one who just got turned. Escobar is the one who was being groomed for a WrestleMania match, clearly, with Rey Mysterio. That's the direction they're going in here. Plus, they probably will revisit the match between Escobar and Carlito at some point. All signs point to Santos Escobar winning this match. He should win the match. The only question is, who helps him win? Because I don't see this being a clean, one-on-one victory for him. Now, he already attacked Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro a few weeks ago. Wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to show up and all of a sudden they help him, unless they've just had this moment of clarity where they've decided, okay, you know what, we're going to be with him after all. There have been some reports and rumors recently about Angel Garza and Humberto Carrillo. They were sent down to NXT. They've had some very good matches in NXT. They've sort of reinvented themselves. They've tapped into their family history. They've done vignettes with them. The rumor is that they're going to be brought back up. And if they're brought back up, it's very possible that they show up at Survivor Series tomorrow and they could help Escobar get the win. And we get a new version of Legado del Fantasma with Carrillo and Garza and Escobar. I don't know where that leaves Joaquin Wilde and Cruz del Toro. I mean, I guess they're still part of the LWO if they're going to continue with the LWO. So I guess they'll just stay as part of that group. That's what I think we're going to end up getting tomorrow, though. If those reports are to be believed, we may get them showing up at Survivor Series. And also, it takes the sting out of any Dragon Lee loss, because if Dragon Lee goes out there and he gets screwed over, and there's interference from somebody else, all right, well, he got beat, but he got beat because Escobar had backup, right? That Dragon Lee maybe didn't have. So that, I think, is the safe way to go about doing things at Survivor Series. But instantly, I think it makes for a better card. I'm really looking forward here to seeing that match now. To seeing what these two can do on a major PLE like this, it's going to be fun. That is going to be, as they say, a banger of a match. And I am looking forward to that very much tomorrow night. Now, we got another match. I don't know how many this is. Okay, I've lost count at this point. For how many matches this is between Pretty Deadly and the Brawling Brutes. But we got another match with Pretty Deadly and the Brawling Brutes. Ridge Holland walked right past Butch when they came out. did not even acknowledge his tag team partner. He just walked right by him. Still very upset after they took the loss in their match last week when Butch inadvertently booted him in the face with a bro kick. Look at Richie Rich over here dropping all this money on me. Hey, oh, it's Fahad. Want you to know, I think you rock. I don't mean The Rock, A-Rock. You rock. And I just wanted you to know that. There you go, man. Fahad. Haven't heard from Fahad in a hot minute. He's coming in with a $120 super chat after a long hiatus. Glad that I am able to catch a live review. Hope all is good with you, so I'm very happy to have you back. I was starting to get worried about you. I go, where's Fahad? Haven't heard from him in a while. I am doing great. Thank you for asking, and I hope you are doing well also. Fahad, thank you very much, man. That is very kind of you. It's good to have you with us. And you know what also is good? Before I even get into this brawling brutes and pretty deadly nonsense, you know what else is good? Let's take a look at some more classic sound-off moments. And then Brie mode comes on. And I mean, you talk about a fucking nightmare scenario. This is like something out of a horror film. I don't think John Carpenter, Wes Craven, some of the best horror directors couldn't come up with a scene like this. I'm laying there. You should have seen. A single tear was almost running down my eye, as I had to lay there helpless, unable to move, as I listened to Brie mode. Drink cups of wine. You don't have a glass? Show some class. Why don't you drink out of a brown paper bag while you're at it? A cup of wine? What's wrong with you? If you're going to drink wine out of a glass. I said it then. I stand by those words. So we had Pretty Deadly, and we had the Brawling Brutes. Ridge Holland, not happy with Butch after what happened the last time we saw them together. Corey Graves on comedy. Corey Graves was back today. I forgot to mention that. Corey Graves back from his paternity leave. He is the father of a bouncing new baby boy. He and Carmella. So this was his first time back in a few weeks. Congrats again to the happy couple. But Corey Graves, in talking about the problems within the Brawling Brutes, mentioned Hall & Oates, which of course I immediately perked up when I heard that. So he mentioned Hall & Oates, and he mentioned because of course they've been in the news. For those who don't know, Hall & Oates, in my opinion, the greatest musical duo that ever lived, and I will not hear anything to the contrary. It leaked out into the media this week that Daryl Hall filed some sort of restraining order against John Oates. I don't know what it's a restraining order for. I don't know. We don't have the details. It's all very sad. And I'm hoping whatever their issues are, they can work it out. But we got a Hall & Oates reference on the show, and Michael Cole laughs at this. And Michael Cole says that he never thought that he would hear a Hall & Oates reference on the show in 2023. You know what? If these people had a brain in their head, we would be hearing Hall & Oates on these shows. Their music is timeless, like Tony Storm. I want that to be the new SmackDown anthem. Let's get some Hall & Oates going on here. It was God knows it was the anthem of the Vince McMahon era for the past 5 years. Out of Touch, right? That was the signature song right there. They should have gotten the rights to it. They could have opened the show every week with it. It would have been very appropriate. This match here served one purpose. And that one purpose, it wasn't even to give Pretty Deadly a win, which it did. But the purpose of the match here was to further push the issues between Ridge and Butch. That was the point of this. Holland started the match for his team. And Butch and Prince tagged in after that. Elton Prince. Holland and Butch, they did stereo 10 beats until that got broken up and Pretty Deadly took control. Prince was pounding on Butch, and Butch worked out of it. He went for a tag, and Holland just stared at him, and then Ridge Holland left his partner. He left his partner high and dry. A shout out to Kells. renewing as a Sound of Legend. That's right. We've had a lot of new members here. Gifted memberships as well. People going nuts here on the channel. Kells, thank you, man. Thank you for renewing. So, Butch is left all by himself. Holland just walks to the back. Now it's a 2-on-1 handicap match. He's got to fight both these guys off all by himself. And Butch, he's chopping the hell out of him. He hit some German suplexes. Butch kicked Prince in the head. That got a good near fall. Kit Wilson got a blind tag, though, and Butch hit the bitter end on Prince. Didn't see the tag, though, and so Wilson came in. He rolled up Butch. He rolled up Butch for the win. The Brawling Brutes, they've run their course. They've been together for a while now. I feel like they've done all they can do. It feels like the right time to do what they're doing here and to start teasing the inevitable split. Sheamus, I believe, who's been out with a shoulder injury, my understanding is he's supposed to be on some of the live events coming up. Sheamus is due back, if he isn't already back on the road. If that's the case, I expect to see him back on TV as early as next week. And so he can factor into this storyline. Maybe he can try to keep the peace between them, try to keep them together. They could do a whole story around this. But what I am looking forward to most is the death of Butch and the rebirth of Pete Dunne. If that's what we end up getting out of this, then I am all for it. Let him be himself. Let him be Pete Dunne. Let them go their separate ways. If they do, I think that the future is a lot brighter for Pete Dunne than it is for Ridge Holland. Outside the Brawling Brutes, where he doesn't have other people to lean on, I don't know what kind of push Ridge Holland is looking at as a solo act. But I think it's time that we get Pete Dunne back and, enough of this Butch and give him a solid singles run. Let him take a run next year at the U.S. title. But I don't know how that's going to work out for Ridge Holland. Now, backstage, Shotzi approached Charlotte Flair and reminded Charlotte of how Charlotte embraced her after Damage Control bullied her and forced her to shave her head. She said Becky is probably just as hurt about their past as she is, and a few key words could go a long way to changing things for the better. A very inspirational message here from Shotzi. Elsewhere, the Judgment Day were in their clubhouse backstage. Apparently, they transported their clubhouse from Raw to SmackDown. And Dominic they were talking about Randy Orton. And Dominic said, even Randy, didn't he also get, attacked or beaten up or whatever by Jey Uso and put on the shelf for almost 2 years? Trying to, again, stir the pot. Trying to stir the pot amongst the members on the babyface side. Damian Priest spoke, said to Randy Orton, they will make sure that he doesn't have another comeback. And then our main event, we had Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch against Bayley and Asuka, 4 of the women in War Games tomorrow night. Becky and Charlotte, they got along fine in the early going. They did their usual thing where they went 45 seconds before going to a commercial. But Becky hit an exploder that sent Bayley to the floor. She tagged Charlotte. Charlotte hit her terrible moonsault where she basically lands on her feet and then rolls backwards. And fucking Bayley and Asuka have to drop and sell for it. Asuka and Bayley, they isolated Becky in the heel corner during the commercial break. She eventually got the hot tag from Charlotte, who hit a crossbody on Asuka and Bayley. Fall-away slam to Bayley, followed by her front handspring into a clothesline. Charlotte missed the tag from Asuka, who came in and dropped her with a code breaker. Bayley tagged in and landed a second rope elbow drop, but Becky broke up the cover. Becky got a tag. She threw some kicks in the corner. She hit a double DDT to the heels. She covered Bayley for a near fall. Becky then hit a shotgun drop kick from the top rope and then transitioned into the disarm her. Asuka ran interference and Bayley attempted the rose plant. Becky was able to avoid it and she managed to hit a manhandle slam. And that should have been it. That should have been the win right there for the babyfaces. But Charlotte connected on a spear to Asuka, which knocked her backwards into Becky. Uh-oh. So Becky now and Charlotte, they have some words. They're face to face. And Becky ends up getting shoved into Charlotte. And then Bayley rolls up Becky to win the match for Damage Control. And after the match, Charlotte and Becky had some words. Bianca and Shotzi came out. Bianca and Shotzi tried to play peacemaker. and Becky ended up walking off on her own. Can they coexist? This is the story going into Survivor Series as it was tonight. Can they coexist? This was nothing special. The match was nothing special. But it was a surprising outcome because I was not expecting the heels to go over here. I'm sticking with my pick. I'm not going back on what I said in my predictions, even though I did the predictions on Sunday. It's always the risk you run when you do it before the go-home shows. But I said I have the baby faces winning in the men's match, and I have the heels winning in the women's match. And I'm going to stick with that. I think that's still the way it's going to go. But I think what they did here, the one good thing it does do, it does cast doubt over who's going to win in the women's war games. It's not so obvious whether it's going to be the baby faces or whether it's going to be the heels. It could conceivably go either way. I would not say that the outcomes of the war games matches tomorrow night are predictable. That's one thing I don't think you can say about them. You can't really predict for sure. It's not that obvious which team is going to go over on either side. And that's good. You don't want it to be that predictable. As far as deciding what the advantage is going to be, the advantage is being decided by a fan poll. Sponsored by Ruffles. Thank God Ruffles is sponsoring the poll. Otherwise, I don't know how we would decide the man advantage or the woman advantage in war games. They should have had this match for the advantage. But then it might go against whatever they have planned for tomorrow. That would have made more sense, right? To decide it in a fucking match instead of a fan poll online. So we know who's going to win the fan poll. It's going to be the babyfaces. The heels already have the advantage in the men's match. So we know the babyfaces are going to win the fan poll. But like I said, I'm going to stick with Damage Control for the win. They're also embracing the past issues between Charlotte and Becky, which is probably the smart way to go, instead of ignoring it. Going into war games. Again, it does create a little more drama and intrigue as to whether or not, that's going to get in the way of the baby faces being able to work together. But it just, again, you look at that lineup on the babyface side, you know exactly why Shotzi is. I will be stunned. I would be stunned if the baby faces lose, if Shotzi is not the one to take the losing fall. It just feels like that's the only reason she's in there. If they win, well, that's a different story. But if they lose and anybody other than Shotzi takes the loss, I would be stunned. I just don't see that happening. I also don't think that they're going to be booting Bayley out of Damage Control just yet. I think they're going to want to milk that a little bit more. I don't think it happens tomorrow. I think they're going to wait a little bit longer.
It's the amazing Gunther. Jerry Lawler loves Gunther the Magnificent. All hail Gunther.
Everybody pray at the altar of the mighty Gunther. It is Kells with a $50 Gunther bomb. I don't think we've seen Gunther on here in a while. Hey, Kells, thank you for the $50 drop. That is mighty nice of you. Gonna get to your messages, all of your messages here in a second. But as I was saying, yeah, I don't think they're taking Bayley out back and putting the bullet in her brain just yet. Not very PG. That doesn't sound very PG, but no, I don't think it's happening tomorrow. When it was over, it was okay. It was fine. This was not a very exciting show. I tried to make it sound more exciting than it really was, but it really wasn't. It's all about war games tomorrow night. That's really what this is all about. Let's take a look at the Twitter poll. 61% of you say thumbs up on SmackDown tonight. 39% have given SmackDown a thumbs down. So a positive score there with over 700 votes in so far and counting. Get those votes on in at Solomonster on Twitter. Let me know what you thought of the show. Deshaun, good Lord, motherfucker, that scared the fuck out of me. Again, an emergency alert. The second time in the last few weeks that I have been interrupted here and almost shat myself from an emergency alert on my phone. A flash flood warning is in effect for this area until 3 a.m. This is a dangerous and life-threatening situation. This is the second dangerous and life-threatening situation I've been alerted about in the last 3 weeks. Do not attempt to travel unless you are fleeing an area subject to flooding or under an evacuation order. Aye, aye, Captain. You know, they try to portray this NXT 2.0 relaunch as like, oh, it's like so cool. It's catering to the younger demographic and like it's hip and it's cool, right? And they have that voiceover guy every week when they preview the NXT 2.0 show for that week. And he runs down the card and then he goes, yeah, it's like that. And I'm like what? Is that supposed to be cool? I mean, it's like, he sounds like the fucking father who's trying to be cool for his son. And I just I put my head in my hands like, oh God, the hair on the back of my neck stands up when I hear that. Yeah, it's like that. It's like what? You put fucking Grayson Waller on TV, you fucking morons. You're not cool. Nobody thinks you're cool. Your show is not cool. Stop trying to be cool. Yeah, it's like that. Fuck off. Hey, Survivor Series is tomorrow night. I just want to butt in here with a quick reminder that when Survivor Series goes off the air, this guy right here is going to be live on YouTube to take you through everything that happened on the show. The good, the bad, and the ugly, including the return of Randy Orton back in War Games. So again, that's immediately following Survivor Series tomorrow night. Come on back to the channel, and we'll go through all of it. All of it. I expect you back here. That's your homework assignment, to come on back here tomorrow. And I hope you've been enjoying, by the way, taking a little trip down memory lane. I always enjoy some of the more animated, spirited rants here on the channel. It's always fun to look back on that. All right, let's take a look at your super chats here, because guess who was first tonight? Usually he's last, but tonight he was first. And that is our friend Luis.
Look, everyone, it's Samoa Bro.
It's Samoa Bro. Thank you, Firepan. Luis was actually first even before I went live tonight. And he said Randy Orton will turn heel on Jey Uso. Oh, you know what? If you have predictions for Survivor Series, get them on in. So if you guys have a hot take or prediction of your own to share, since this is the final stream before Survivor Series, chime in and let me know. But Luis thinks that Randy Orton is going to turn heel on Jey Uso. It says, I guarantee it, and hold me to my word the moment it happens. Now, what if it doesn't happen? Like, what's the punishment for Luis? I'll tell you what. Luis, you already shaved your head, didn't you? It's been a while since I've seen a picture of Luis. I don't know if he's got hair on his head or not. I was gonna say, if you're wrong, if you want to put a little something on the line here, if you're wrong, how about you shave your head? I want you to shave your head on video while reciting the words Solomonster is God over and over again. That's your punishment if Randy Orton does not turn heel on Jey Uso. Steve Joseph, how do you that Roman won't be at Survival Series? I don't know what he was trying to say. I don't know if he was trying to say, how do you know that Roman will not be at Survivor Series? Because I said the other night that he will not be, but we know he's not going to be. You don't need me to tell you that. He might be asking how I feel about Roman not being at Survivor. I'm trying to translate. How do I feel? I think it's fucking dumb, but that's what happens when you only work 11 matches in a year. You get to skip shows like Survivor Series. Josh Carlos with the $9.99. Feels like the mid-card has nothing to fight for on SmackDown since Logan is not there with the US belt. Look at the matches tonight, all tag matches, no build or storyline setting anything up until next year. That's what happens. When the champions are not around, and they're not planned to be around probably for a while, they don't feel like they're in any really great rush to start building things. Yeah, to be fair, their focus is on War Games tonight because it's 24 hours from now. We'll see next week. if there's any indication of them building anything for Logan Paul or for Roman Reigns, or how long they're going to wait. They have no PLEs coming up in December. Everything now is building to the Royal Rumble. They have nothing in December. AEW just added a pay-per-view at the end of next month. But there is no WWE show in December. So how long are we going to have to wait before we get a sense of who Roman's next challenger is going to be? Nick Grasso, I don't really agree with Dragon Lee taking Carlito's place because neither Santos nor Lee should be losing. After tonight, I am convinced that Damage Control loses and they turn on Bayley. Oh, they're going to turn on Bayley. I'm not convinced it's happening tomorrow night. Hey, Faisal has been a channel member for 31 months. It's unbelievable. One of our Sound Up legends, he says, what can AEW do to get to that next level as a mainstream wrestling company? Oh boy, there's that word again. I enjoy watching it from time to time, but I feel like something is missing. I feel like they peaked in 2021 into 2022. I wouldn't worry so much about being mainstream. I hate that word. I hate the overuse of that word. I think Tony Khan should focus on putting out the best possible product that he can possibly put out with the talent that he has, and he has a surplus of talent. Focus on creative, focus on compelling stories with the people that you have. Build up your pay-per-views as strongly as you possibly can so you can do business, and you can also give people the matches that they want to see the most. This sounds very simple. That's what his focus should be. I don't give a shit how mainstream AEW is. What does that even mean? Do you mean getting 1 million viewers every... Like, what does that mean, though? Mainstream. They don't need to be in the mainstream to be a success. They don't need to be in the mainstream to make money. They don't need to be in the mainstream to be entertaining. That's where their focus should be. Not on trying to be mainstream like WWE. And again, when people use that word sometimes, I'm not sure what context they're using that word in. I don't think that needs to be Tony Khan's concern. Warm corn. Had some of that over Thanksgiving. Warm corn says Triple H. Triple H says, you want Punk? Here, motherfucker, damn. Omos debuts as fake CM Punk. I was just sleeping, you know? Go to sleep. AEW? No, I like Pepsi, not A&W root beer. Yeah. Triple H is trolling the fans. Hey, warm corn, thank you. I don't think I've ever had cold corn before, so kind of weird to think about cold corn and warm corn. Peter Cordieri says, what's up? What's up, Peter? Thank you for the $5. Silver Tower with the 7. Welcome to Tag Team Hell. You're not allowed to be single here. I like that. You should work in advertising and marketing. Bobbert Reviews, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Again, thank you for that. I did indeed. I hope you did as well. The Real CSO2, CM Punk is not coming back tomorrow. It doesn't seem to matter how many times I say it. People don't, they don't pay attention. They still think he's going to be there tomorrow. They're going to be mighty disappointed. Well, you know what, though? To be fair, CM Punk could be there, but only if he buys a ticket. Paul Carpenter, Shotzi got a legit beef with Damage Control. In storyline, yeah, she does. That doesn't mean that when you look at the lineup for the match that she really is a good fit. But she does have storyline beef with Damage Control. That is true. Samuel with the $6. I think Reigns' next opponent is Randy Orton. Remember, he has not been drafted. I think that's why Zayn asked about if they could use a SmackDown guy last week. Could be. You could very well be right. Now that you mention that, Randy Orton was rumored to be the opponent for Roman Reigns at SummerSlam last year. That's why they had a pivot and they went to the last man standing match with Reigns and Brock Lesnar. The last ever match between Reigns and Brock Lesnar. So if that was going to be our SummerSlam main event next year, maybe that's going to be our Royal Rumble main event in 2024. You are right about the whole issue of him being undrafted. He is not, last I checked, he is not listed under the Raw roster or the SmackDown roster on WWE.com. So he could technically go to any show they want to have him on. So yeah, I mean, again, Roman, the point is this. There are enough people to match up Roman Reigns with between now and WrestleMania to get him on all the key shows if they want him to be on those shows. Randy Orton is another name. Sheamus is a name. AJ Styles is a name. Bobby Lashley could have been, but now he's a heel again, so that doesn't really work. Royal Rumble, I think, is Roman AJ or Roman and Orton. I think that's a good point you make. It could be Roman and Randy Orton. I was still thinking of Randy as a Raw guy. But if he's not drafted, then they can pretty much plug him in anywhere they want. Holiday 197. Why did Cody Rhodes show up to save LA Knight from the Bloodline last week when Rhodes did not show up tonight, nor did it lead to a Bloodline against Knight and Rhodes tag match? They're in separate storylines. Well, the way they would explain it is Cody was there to do business with Nick Aldis in some way because he was in his office earlier in the show. And while he was there, he decided to go and try to get his hands on the Bloodline because the Bloodline cost he and Jay the tag titles many weeks ago on Raw. I'm not saying that it really does a very good job of making much sense out of it. I'm just saying that's what they would tell you. He just happened to be there, and Jay is the one, or Jimmy is the one who cost them the titles on Raw. He wanted a measure of revenge. And maybe they also just wanted to keep it in your mind that Cody and the Bloodline are not done yet. Cody and the Bloodline still have issues. But I agree with you. Cody even being there on the show last week was very dumb. Silver Tower with the $31 super chat. I heard you liked the Judgment Day, so we put more Judgment Day in your Judgment Day. Thank you. Thank you for that. P.S. They're going to be in the main event nonstop for the next 6 months. I can't wait. Sean Longworth. Longfellow. What if Randy turns on the babyfaces just to turn on Jey Uso like Drew did for the exact same reason? Then they can get tag team gold. Well, Luis would be very happy about that. Then he wouldn't have to shave his head in that bet. Because Luis is convinced that Randy is turning heel on Jey Uso tomorrow. Jay certainly had that look on his face at the end of Raw Monday night. He had that, oh, I fucked up look. So they're definitely going to play into it in some way. Justin G thought I would interrupt with something a little different. Happy after Thanksgiving. Solomonster in the chat. Well, that's Black Friday. You should say happy Black Friday. This is the day that people go absolutely nuts. They lose their minds. And they trample other people in malls and department stores and toy stores to grab a bunch of materialistic items that will probably break in a few months, and they'll end up in the garbage, and then they'll move on to the next piece of junk they want to buy. Happy Black Friday. Barry, what do you think was JBL's best match when he was the WWE champ? So, when he was the champion, I was going to say the match with him and Cena from Judgment Day, but Cena was the champion. When JBL was the champion, I don't know. I don't know that I have a favorite match of his as a defending champion. When he was a challenger, he and Cena had a memorable, I think it was Last Man Standing at Judgment Day. And, you know, he had a couple of really good matches with Eddie Guerrero. I guess maybe the second one where he won the belt. I think that was the Bull Rope match. I mean, other than that, I know he had a cage match in there with Big Show, but I don't remember that being great. He may have had a match with The Undertaker. I don't know. None of his matches as champion stand out to me as being anything good. He had better matches as the challenger than he did as the defending El Mace, if Gunther doesn't win the Royal Rumble, should he and Gable main event night 1 for the Intercontinental title? Would make Gable a megastar. I see what you're trying to say. I think that they should definitely get a prominent position when they get to that point that they do the match. I would not be headlining night 1 of WrestleMania with it. I would not do that. Not when you have 2 world titles and you have 2 women's titles, and you know, we don't know if there might be a special attraction match on night 1. There's other options that I think are deserving of headlining one of the nights of WrestleMania. Would it be huge for Gable? Yeah, of course it would. Has Gunther gotten the Intercontinental title to a point where I could see it headlining a night of WrestleMania? I could see it. But I just don't think that that's the way to go as far as, you know, where you position it. If Gunther's going to be in the main event of night 1 of WrestleMania, honestly, it should be fighting for the World Heavyweight title. And not defending the Intercontinental. Fahad, again, thank you, man, for that $120 bomb. I am glad that your hiatus, at least for one night, I'm glad that your hiatus is over. I hope that you are doing well. Will Chisholm with the $20 super chat. With Triple H booking, I can see him using Dragon Lee and Santos like how Eddie and Ray was for all those years in WCW and WWE. They can be the new version of them for the next 10 years. Am I crazy in thinking? Yeah, I don't see that happening, but I do think that they will go out there and they can absolutely have a very Eddie and Ray-esque match from the late 90s WCW era. Like, they have the ability to go out there and do that. But are they going to be tangling up for the next 10 years? No, I don't see that. Even Ray and Eddie were not wrestling for the next 10 years. You know, I mean, let's be realistic here. When was the last Eddie and Ray match? The last match they would have had together. What would that have been? 2003, maybe? Kells with the $50 Gunther bomb. Does Damage Control get rid of Bayley at Survivor Series, or do they milk this out longer? I think they milk it out longer. The real CS, I know I've been saying he won't come back, but hypothetically speaking, would it be best to have him... Are we back to CM Punk again? Would it be best to have him kick off Survivor Series to get the CM Punk chance out of the way? No. He's not going to be there. He's not going to be there. And even if he was, have him kick off Survivor Series and do what? Just wave to the crowd? Drink a Pepsi? Do what? Is he going to walk out with the real world's title? And Kevin Dunn can digitally distort it the way that they used to do to Ric Flair's big gold belt when he came to WWE? If he was coming back, the Royal Rumble would be a better spot for it. But even then, I mean, unless he's winning it. But no, I would not do that. Fire Panda, what if Drew turns on the Judgment Day? Well, here's the thing with Drew. And Drew posted a really good video on his social media this week where he was answering a fan question about turning heel. And again, he gave an explanation for why he is doing what he's doing. And it was actually very rational. And I thought it was very good. I really like what they're doing with this character. He's not a heel per se. So could Drew turn against the Judgment Day by the time that match is over? If, let's say, they start getting up in his face, like, we're telling you what to do, right? Because he doesn't get along with them. He doesn't like them. Yeah, I could see Drew McIntyre laying out Damian Priest with a Claymore kick, or laying out Finn Balor with a Claymore kick. And it doesn't change anything about his character. That's the beauty of them doing what they're doing. It's not a heel turn in the traditional sense. He's not a member of the Judgment Day. So could I see him turning on the Judgment Day? Yes, I can. And maybe that's what leads to the Judgment Day losing. They put their faith in Drew McIntyre, and in the end, he fucked them over. Because they just couldn't coexist. They couldn't get along. Yeah, very possible that could be what caused, because I think the baby faces are going over, so that could be part of the plan here for the finish. Everything just sort of falls apart. Luis is back. He says the emergency alert system trying to take over the Solomonster sounds off. That happened multiple times, by the way. That's only one clip that I played. There was a period of time where I was getting emergency alerts on my phone like every other week here in New York. It was ridiculous. It was for like rain and wind, life-threatening conditions. I'm sitting here, all of a sudden, bzzz. It's like I had some kind of electric shock therapy here on the podcast. It scared the crap out of me. Red Panda. No relation to Fire Panda. My dad beat me with his belt. Yeah, it's like that. Hey, Red Panda, thank you. Alex Ali, in your prediction, who pins who in War Games? Oh, I don't know. You're talking about 8 different people in the women's, 10 different people in the men's. I've said that I think Shotzi takes the loss and the baby faces lose in the women's match. Who gets the win over, let's say, Shotzi? It's almost irrelevant. I mean, if I had it, who wins it for Damage Control? I would say Bayley won the match for Damage Control tonight. I think that in the women's War Games, it's either Bayley or Io, because she's the champion. I would say Bayley, because again, I think they're going to prolong her fate. If Bayley wins War Games for her team, I think that saves her some time. It buys her a little more time. On the men's side, on the babyface side, I think the win... Well, I mean, I guess it depends which member of the Judgment Day gets pinned also, but I would say it's either Cody. I think it's either Cody or Randy. You know, it's basically Team Cody. He's basically the de facto captain here. Even though the World Heavyweight Champion is in the match as well. But I'm going to go Cody or Randy. I don't know which one, but I think it's one of them. Kiddo Hudson, shout out to Corey Grays for the Power Rangers reference. See, I was so hung up on the Hall & Oates reference, I didn't catch the Power Rangers reference. Nick Grosso, if the babyfaces lose the women's War Games, it will be because Charlotte walks out on them. Well, Charlotte should be a heel anyway, so I wouldn't necessarily mind that. Jose Perez with the $9.99. Been a closeted Solomonster fan for a couple of years now. Consider this my coming out party. We love parties here on the channel. Great show there, bro. Looking forward to your Survivor Series review. Keep up the good work. Well, Jose, thank you. I'm happy that you're out of the closet now. You're embracing your Solomonster fandom. That's what I like to hear. Thank you for the super chat, Jose. I will be here tomorrow with bells on, thus annoying all the people in the neighborhood, because it usually is very late by the time I go live. Wearing bells will probably piss them off, but I don't give a fuck. Base Beerus, Nick Hogan got another DUI this week. Is that in addition to the one I talked about on Sunday? Or are you talking about the story that I already mentioned on the Sound Off? I was aware of the one from last week. I talked about it on Sunday. So is this new, or are you talking about the old one? I've lost track on my wrestling DUI counter. Hard to keep up with these things. Hey Darius, thank you for the $1.99. The IWC has a fetish for being disappointed. They have a lot of weird fetishes in this community. That's probably the least freakish of all of them. Corbin Rogers, thank you for the past 16 years. Glad to have been a part of them going back to the SE Scoops live days. Wow, that's going back. That's going back to 2008. And I have all 36 of those episodes, too. In fact, if you're a channel member, I know I got to get back to it, but if you're a channel member on the top tier, the Legends tier, right now, so far, you have access to the first 13 shows I ever did, but also the very first SE Scoops Live call-in show. It was a post-Monday Night Raw call-in show that myself and Noah Mark used to do. That is up. So if you're a Legends tier member, you can check that out. It's up for you guys. Rob G still can't believe Stone Cold wrestled last year. That is pretty weird to think about. Like, it's almost like glossed over in a way, but like, Stone Cold Steve Austin came back after 19 years and headlined night one of WrestleMania last year. Like, that's pretty fucking crazy. Why is Solomonster a Punk hater? Why does he hate Punk so much? What did he ever do to him? Hey, Sean, thank you. Sean Nilsson, the nasty boy himself, coming in hot with a $40 "Why does he hate CM Punk?" super chat. That's all I heard after he left AEW. Why does Solomonster hate CM Punk? Why is he a Punk hater? Straight edge. Manuel Macias. Is AJ Styles not a Triple H guy? He's had no direction for some time now, maybe his age. Also, when are we going to see the Cody and Roman feud rebuild? We'll start to see that after the Royal Rumble. No, I think Triple H is an AJ guy. I mean, look, he is getting older. He's mid-40s now. Not the same AJ Styles he was 10 years ago. AJ always wanted to wrestle him at WrestleMania. He would pester Triple H about it. Now the match can't happen. So I don't think he's not an AJ Styles guy. I think it's just a matter of, figuring out what the best way is to use him at this point. But the fact that we've gone 3.5 years with this Roman run, and at no point did we get a Roman AJ match during the Tribal Chief era, is crazy to me. You get at least one, if not two, pay-per-view matches out of it. And they're going to be great. Chris AXC, why does WWE always pit minorities against each other like lions? There's a Latino star, he has to feud with a Latino. 40 years of fans, same story. Well, in this case, they were all part of the same faction. And that faction has been crumbling. So I get the story they're trying to tell. But you're not wrong. That in the past, they've certainly had a tendency to do that sort of thing. Or just put them all together in a group, right? Let's just herd them up and put them in a group together. They've done that too. Need I remind you about the Mexicools many years ago on SmackDown? Kiddo says, Bailey still got me hot from 2 weeks ago. Calm down there, kiddo. Calm down, kiddo, all right? Crack a window, take a cold shower. I'm gonna need you to calm down here. See what I tell you about fetishes in this community. Base Beer is God of Seduction, JBL against Big Show, and Angle Royal Rumble 2005. He also was supposed to be the SmackDown champion. Last match was when Eddie finally beat Ray in the cage match. SmackDown 05. There you go. Base Beerus is schooling us on JBL's title run. Silver Tower with $7. Drink a Pepsi, get banned from the building. Good times. There you go. Brandon Vasquez, thank you for the 5. I appreciate that very much. Do you think Survivor Series is still a Big Four pay-per-view? Roman not being on the show says a lot, even with War Games being implemented on the show. I don't think Survivor Series has been a Big Four show in many years. I think Money in the Bank took its place a long time ago. I think it's Royal Rumble. If there is a Big Four, I think it's Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, and Money in the Bank. And You know, having war games at Survivor Series is a nice change if they're not going to do the elimination format they used to do. I will say I am disappointed that we don't at least get one traditional elimination match on these shows. I don't think they should completely abandon the concept. It would be nice if we got at least one. I wish they would still do that. Maybe next year. But no, I don't think Survivor Series has been a big force show for a while. And you're right. The fact that Roman is not on it, I think, speaks. The Judgment Day. Back again. Each member gets their own entrance. What is that? Four now? 3 or 4? Damn it, Silver Tower. The most overbooked faction in all of WWE. No longer the Bloodline. Now it's the Judgment Day. B Money dropping some money. It says last Eddie and Ray match, I believe, was the SmackDown premiere in 2005 when Eddie finally pinned Ray in the steel cage match. I have no memory of that at all. I have absolutely no memory of that match whatsoever. None. It's crazy. Wildbird, bad girls, what you gonna do when damage control comes for you? Sean Nilsson says, Happy Friday. Hey, Sean, thank you for the $40 drop. And Silver Tower with a 32. How much is the Elite paying you to hate on Punk? Oh, I don't know. But you're a Punk hater, man. You better apologize. A Wildbird, when Kyrie hits the elbow drop, the hips don't lie. She better enjoy that hip as long as she has her original one. She'll have an artificial one at some point. You can't go through your career dropping elbows like that, as beautiful as it looks, and not end up with an artificial hip. So she should enjoy her original parts while she still has them. Because there's no way she's getting through an entire career without having some work done on her hip. It's just not possible. It is the best elbow drop in the biz, though, I have to say. It's like MJF and that stupid elbow he did at Full Gear. I mean, look, respect to him for wanting to follow through on the spot, but you know what? Sometimes you gotta know when to cut your losses. That match would not have suffered one bit if he decided to just on the spot just go and do a different spot, you know? Nobody would have mattered. Nobody nobody would have cared, rather. Nobody would have batted an eyelash. And now he's I'm sure his hip is not feeling too good right now. He dislocated it. That was a very stupid spot. Hey, Warm Corn says, Naked Tyrus, boom, new NWA TV deal with Hallmark. Kind of hard to maintain a television audience when you've blinded the entire audience and they're no longer able to see. So I think you might have shot yourself in the foot by doing that. Jay from New Jersey, can you get me out of jury duty next week? What makes you so special? I had to serve grand jury duty on a federal grand jury for over a year. Do your service like everybody else. What makes you so special? Turtlehead, yes. I believe he is dating her. You know what I think gave it away? The picture that he posted on Twitter with his cat, and you could see her laying in bed next to him. I think that kind of gave it away. Will Chisholm says, Bailey so needs to stop teasing Mercedes Moné on her social media. Fans already CM Punk crazy. Bailey do look like the friend to tell her it's safe now. TKO is getting Vince out of here. Yeah, she is posting a lot lately about Mercedes. Getting some people's hopes up. I wouldn't read too much into that. Although if Damage Control kicks her out, Bailey's all by herself, she might need some help.
Thank you, and shoosh, and a thank you.
Is she teasing something?
A thank you, and shoosh, and a thank you.
Hey, thank you, Daniel. You don't have to shoosh. You dropped a $12 super chat. You can say whatever you want. Thank you very much. Cameron Spencer coming in with a $4.99. And then I think I'm all caught up. Cameron says, the Saw movies are barbaric. It is not entertaining at all. It's gruesome and disturbing. People who are fans of it should be ashamed of themselves. Well, there you go. If you're a fan of the Saw movies, basically Cameron is saying that you can go piss off. He is disgusted by you. I take offense to that because the first Saw movie, gruesome as it was, I actually think the first one is the best one of all of them. The ones that I've seen, I haven't seen them all, but the ones that I've seen. It's the best one out of all of them. It's a very creative concept, and I think they pulled it off flawlessly. Because the ending caught me by surprise. I should have seen it coming, and I didn't. And when you get that big payoff with that big dramatic music playing in the background, the only thing I wish is that I saw it in a movie theater, because I didn't. And I can only imagine what the reaction inside the theater would have been. So the first Saw movie I think is great. But I agree that as they have progressed, it sort of devolved just into torture porn, more than anything else. We've got Manuel again with the $5 super chat. Says, is Cody a Triple H guy, do you think? Despite the Throne segment, how long do you see him as champion for? I think Seth gets his win back eventually. Yeah, Seth will get his win back at some point. I don't think there's any heat with Triple H and Cody. I think Triple H respects the fact that Cody left, went out, built himself up, made himself a bigger star, and came back and is in the position that he's in. I think he has a lot of respect for him for that. Maybe he sees a little bit of himself in Cody. And he also recognizes that Cody is super over with the audience and the kids and sells a lot of merch. And Triple H is in a position now where, as the head of creative, he's going to want to push people like that. So, yeah, I think Triple H likes Cody just fine. Mike, New York. What happened to Omos? He was lit. He's still around. MVP also. MVP is still around. We don't see him on television anymore either. See, that I feel like is a waste. Because MVP could be, he could be repping someone on television, doing something. And he's doing nothing right now. Hey, Kareem, congrats. You are banned from Collision. You can get in line with everybody else. But Kareem says, this marks 10 years that I have been listening to Solomonster. The first episode that I have listened to was your rant on the 2013 Survivor Series build. Here's to another 10 years. Thank you, Kareem. The 2013 Survivor Series build. What was the main event of Survivor Series in 2013? Was that awful show with Big Show and Randy Orton in the main event? Is that what I'm thinking of? Because I can understand why I would have gone off on that show, if that's the case. Christopher, the smaller stage to fit more fans in the arena is such a better look. Oh, it's absolutely a better look. I love it. I love that look when they come out from the entranceway and you see people behind them. And you could still, look, you can have some set pieces if you want, but you don't need the big elaborate stage for every single show. For WrestleMania, for some of the bigger stadium shows, I get it. Like, that makes sense. For a show like this, you're going to be in a big market like Chicago. You were already sold out. You had the ability to add more seats and make more money. Why wouldn't you want to make more money? Why wouldn't you want to pack as many people in the building as possible? Just get rid of the set. You don't need it. You'll have it back at TV on Monday. Kevin Dunn will get his play toy back for one night. I love it when they pack as many people in as they can. I think it's great. Wildbird, Ruby Soho and Angelo Parker romance gives me Fred and Daphne vibes from Scooby-Doo. Now, there were some people online who thought that was a real thing or they were together. I mean, isn't he married? It's just the storyline, but some people think it's real. Abusika clearly is also a very big Bailey fan. We got a lot of Bailey fans here in the chat for the obvious reasons. Abusika, thank you. Turtlehead, what do you and El Dandy have in common? You're both jam-up guys who should never be doubted. That's right. Never doubt me. Never doubt me. How long is Tam Nakano's knee injury? Or how long is she going to be out for? Yeah, I heard she hurt her knee. I don't know what the nature of the injury is. But it was bad enough that she had to, forfeit her Stardom title. So I would expect her to be out for at least a little bit. I don't know how serious the injury is, though. Devin from New Jersey. Hey, Devin, I hope you were on the stream the other night. I answered your question from the previous stream that I didn't get to about my favorite arena. I don't know if you heard that or you saw that. I forgot which. I don't know if it was Wednesday or Monday, but I opened the Super Chat segment with it. So if you missed it, go back and look. Has Solomonster ever seen Punk's interview with Michael Landsberg? No. Not with Landsberg. I don't think so. I've seen most of the Landsberg interviews, but I don't remember that one. No. Bobby's World with the $10 super chat. Is LA Knight the perfect example of the differences between the NXT and main roster audiences? Knight was over in NXT, but definitely not as over as he is now. No, I wouldn't say that he's an example of that. He was over in front of both. I think a better example to give, you could find some NXT people who were over in NXT and who have not been over on the main roster. Even then, every situation is different. Look at a guy like Cameron Grimes. I can't blame Cameron Grimes that he's not over on the main roster because what have they given him to do? He had a character in NXT. He was a heel, then he became a babyface. He got over. People liked him. He was a genuinely likable underdog babyface. He has had no story on the main roster so far that would give people a reason to want to really rally behind him. Do I think he can get over in that same underdog babyface role? Yes, I do. Is he going to have that chance? I don't know. It doesn't look good. They're certainly not doing anything with him now. There are distinct differences between the two audiences in some ways. I don't know that LA Knight is a good example of that, though, because what's the difference? I mean, he was over in NXT, and he's over now. The point is, he's always been over. He just wasn't given the push. Until Vince McMahon went away and Triple H said, what are we doing here? Gave him his name back, and now look where he is. Right? He's sitting pretty now. And Mike, dropping $2. Big plans for Roman at the Royal Rumble. I wonder what. Well, I was thinking AJ, but there was a very astute super chat before that suggested it could be Randy Orton. Roman and Randy would be a big main event for the Royal Rumble. So that could very well be the big plan for Roman, because it will not be LA Knight. It will not be LA Knight again. Wapatapa, God bless Bailey and all that she has to offer. What am I going to do with you people? I can't take you anywhere. I can't take you anywhere. Well, look, through all of this, we are actually closing in on 500 likes. The goal was 400. Let's see if we can hit 500 before we get out of here. But thank you for smashing the goal tonight. And my reward for all of you is to be the booker. So let's go ahead and do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
I know this is what you've been waiting for. It is time to be the Booker. It is time indeed. This is what many of you have been waiting for, I know. The pre-Survivor Series edition of Be the Booker. So here we go. You see me. Here I am. Hello. And there is a randomizer that I have created with a bunch of really talented teams and maybe some not so talented teams. And we're going to take it for a spin, and we're going to book some random matches and see what we land on here. We put together our own card. See how good of a job we do. Let's see if we do a better job than the actual bookers themselves. We begin with Randy Orton and Matt Riddle dressed up as Randy Orton. Or at least with the facial hair of Randy. He looks French for some reason. I don't know exactly who he reminds me of, but it's not Randy Orton. But we have RK Bro. You talk about over. Before Randy went away, they were over. They were super over. Randy Orton even said he never had so much fun in his career as he did doing the RK Bro thing with Matt Riddle. RK Bro taking on the Powers of Pain. There you go. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle against the Warlord and the Barbarian. Now that's a wrestling match. That's a wrestling match right there. It's a match we would have seen if I was growing up a wrestling fan. We would have seen that match. There you go. I can get behind that. The Warlord was so funny to me because, like, the Warlord, towards the end of his run in WWE, I mean, he was so roided up. Like, I don't know how he was even able to move around. He looked like he got stung by 1,000 bees and his entire body just swelled up. Like a walking allergic reaction was the Warlord. But if you ever go and watch him or listen to him in some of the shoot interviews that he's done, he sounds like a pretty chill guy. I think he should be very lucky he's still around. There are a lot of people who didn't make it as long as he did. All right, we got Victoria, or Tara, if you know her from her TNA days. Victoria, veteran of the business, former women's champion. And it'll be Victoria going one-on-one with Natalya. Victoria and Natty is basically, that's like a late 2000s or early, was Victoria still around in WWE in the early 2010s? So she was already in TNA by then, I think, right? But I feel like that's a match we would have seen back then. And look, as far as in the women's division, I mean, that would have been a good match. Right? So I have to give that the bell. Yeah, the workhorses. The workhorses of the women's division. All right, so we're 2 for 2. But you know what? It's like, we're 2 for 2, but it's like, all right. Natty and Victoria, RK Bro against the Powers of Pain. Like, that's good. But I'm looking for a kill shot here, man. I'm looking for, like, hit you right between the eyes, like, holy shit, what a match. Let's see if we can do it. We begin with Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight, who we were just talking about earlier. Pete Dunne. And it will be Pete Dunne, one-on-one. Oh my God. Pete Dunne against Sheamus. You know, I was literally about to say it won't be Ridge Holland because Ridge Holland is not in Be the Booker, and we landed on fucking Sheamus. Unbelievable. I have like 200 people in there. And we get Sheamus and Butch. Amazing. What a match that would be. 3 for 3. Clean sweep. We did it. Can't say that wouldn't be anything but a fucking great match. Foreshadowing. Yeah, well, actually, I think there's probably a better chance we get Sheamus and Ridge, but if we get the real Pete Dunne back, he'll be a heel. And maybe we do get Sheamus and Pete Dunne. And how about that? Sheamus and Butch. Holy shit. Hey, Rumpelmane, we love Bailey. And yeah, word to Abu Sika. Thank you, Rumpelmane. Andre Israel heard Dante Martin will be back in a few months. Is that the case? Well, that's very cool. That is one of the more gruesome injuries I've ever seen in a wrestling match. It reminded me exactly of the Sid Vicious injury in 2001 in WCW. Absolutely sickening. And so wait, we must be coming up on about a year, right? Because that happened. Did that happen in March at the ROH pay-per-view? So it could be about a year that he's been out then, if that's the case. Ugh, what a sickening injury that was. Hey, Justin G, can't believe it. He's been a channel member for 8 months already, man. 8 fantastic months. Happy to have you. Remember, all my channel members, you guys got the emojis. Don't forget that. Well, as we wind down here, I better start showing some of those Solomonster emojis. Again, I'm going to be live with you tomorrow night, immediately after Survivor Series War Games. We're going to be talking the good, the bad, and the ugly from the women's and men's War Games and everything in between. Gunther obliterating The Miz in their match for the Intercontinental title. Rhea Ripley against Zoe Stark. And what should be an absolutely fire match between Dragon Lee and Santos Escobar. That immediately has rocketed up, honestly, to the number 2 spot. I'm looking forward to the men's War Games the most. But I am also very much looking forward to that match. And also all of the tears that will be flowing from all of the people very upset that they talked themselves into believing that CM Punk would be making his return at Survivor Series. And when he does not, they will all pivot to the devil in AEW. Well, then he must be the devil. He must be re-signed to AEW then if he wasn't at Survivor Series. They'll just pivot to something else. You'll see. These people will never let it die. There we go. Either way, it's going to be fun to see the reaction. I can't wait. He better not return, otherwise I'm going to have to update my thumbnail. Pain in the ass that would be. He better not show up. It's going to make more work for me. Hey, Silver Tower, as we prepare to close out here, Silver Tower just gifted us with 20 more channel memberships. So 20 very lucky people were just gifted channel memberships by the man himself. Silver Tower, unbelievable. Coming in the clutch here. Look at the sea of green. I love it. I love it. Amazing. And we have a couple of last-minute super chats here. Let's see here. Base Beerus says nothing better than noodle pudding with woo energy. No. If you want to ruin the noodle pudding, then you drink woo energy with it. But no, don't do that. Just have the noodle. It's called kugel. That's the proper name for it, if you want to look it up. I call it noodle pudding because that's what it looks like to me. Off Leather Wings, what do you remember about the Pokemon boom in the late 90s? Well, I could tell you what I remember about the Pokemon boom in the late 90s. I'll give you a little quick story here. So, I don't remember exactly what year it would have been, but I was a camp counselor in the summertime. So I was a camp counselor around the time that Pokemon really started to become popular. And they were very strict about not allowing the kids to bring Pokemon cards, which you would think, what's the big deal? I don't know. They were bringing them, they were trading them, that people were fighting over them. It was a whole thing. So I cannot tell you how many Pokemon cards I had to confiscate from kids who would bring them to camp and they would hide them and they would try to play. And I don't know how many of them I must have confiscated. And I used to have some of them. For whatever reason, I held on to some of them. They're so old, they might even be worth something now. I don't know where they are now. But that was my first experience with Pokemon. I fucking hated Pokemon because all I would be doing is confiscating these stupid cards. And I didn't understand how it worked. I didn't understand what the big deal was. I knew Pikachu, and that's about it. I know Pikachu is the yellow one, and that's it. I have no use for the yellow one. I used to buy bags of Starburst. The yellows were the ones that I would go into the bag and I would throw them in the garbage. The first thing I would do, I would take the lemon Starburst, I would dig them out of the entire, I would put them in Nia's hole and I would seal it up tight. That's right. I would throw them out. It was all about the cherry and the strawberry. The orange I could go either way on. The yellows went right in the garbage. So anyway, that was my first exposure to Pokemon. You know what else was big around that time? Magic the Gathering. I was big into that for a while. Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons. See, that I remember. I still have all my stuff with that. All right, let's see here. I got a whole bunch of messages that came in. Let's make sure I don't forget any of them. Base Beer is watching this stream on a TV. It is the best. What kind of TV? You got me on the big screen? Huh? Got me on the 65-inch curved 4K? How do I look curved? Right? I got the curves, man. You can't see it, but I got the curves. Daniel Malcolm, thank you. Holy shit, $15. No message. Just showing some love here. Daniel, thank you. Man, you know, I was hoping we would have a big night for Survivor Series, but you guys have been bringing the heat tonight for SmackDown. This is like a fucking boring episode of SmackDown. You guys have made this one of the most fun streams of the entire month. We still have a big pay-per-view tomorrow night. I don't want you to blow your whole load before we get to Survivor Series. But Daniel, thank you. Let me make sure here I didn't. Oh, here we go. Dr. Bropio. Here he is. Rather see evil and torture in WWE than Punk. Well, evil is torture. You got that part right. Keep them as far away from WWE as possible. That's the last thing I want to do. Is Evil still Evil? Evil is the one, right? He's married to Io, right? Io Sky is married to Evil, I believe. I believe so. I don't have Bailey's curve. No, I don't have Bailey's curves. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I do not have Bailey's curves. That I do not have. Too late. I missed. I don't know. I don't think we can work together anymore after that comment, Steve. That's a little too weird for me. Yeah, I think they're married. I think it's Io and Evil, I believe. I don't know how that works. I mean, it's got to be difficult. I mean, he's over in Japan. She's here in the States. I don't know if they have any kids, but it's tough, you know, to do the long distance thing like that. It's very tough. Retro says, I am sad. My Pokemon cards were stolen. How old are you, Retro? You may have been one of the kids in one of my groups. I may have stolen them from you. Well, too bad. I don't have them anymore, so you're not getting them back. Oh, man. You guys are too much. Well, anyway, I will have more classic clips to share with you. I don't know about the Survivor Series stream, but we have 2 more streams left in the month. We have Raw next Monday, and we have Dynamite next Wednesday. So again, we're celebrating 16 years of the Sound Of all month long, and the month is running out rapidly. So that's why I do appreciate all of the support, and so many people I've heard from in the last few weeks, and like through emails and everything, that have been listening since the very beginning. It's very humbling. People have stuck with me for that long, so I thank you. Solomonster throwing out Starburst and valuable cards. Only the yellow Starburst. Only the lemon ones. I would keep all the, and I don't eat that shit anymore. But yeah, the yellow ones were disposed of very quickly.
Samoa Bro.
I gave them all to Samoa Bro. He ate them all. Fire Panda says, if Punk shows up, will you dance on stream? No. And Daniel Malcolm. Daniel Malcolm's got a big one coming in. We'll let that come in first. Yeah, they're a little backlogged. Give them a second. You've been abusing the system here. They're like taking time to filter in. It's been overwhelmed by you people tonight.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
That's one of my favorites. Big Dave Batista. When he was during that period, it was like 2010, I think. He was dressing up like a member of the Village People when he would come out. He didn't care. That was like Hollywood Dave. He had the shades, he had the vest, no shirt, jeans. He was going through some kind of weird phase. That was the best Batista. And we only got him for a few months. It's like The Rock. Hollywood Rock. How long was Hollywood Rock around for? We only had Hollywood Rock for like 3 months. We should have had at least a year of Hollywood Rock. Same thing with Batista, man. We didn't get nearly enough Hollywood Dave. We need to get Solomonster to at least 1 million. Well, look, hey, I'll take 100,000 before we get to 1 million. But I can't get to 100,000 until you hit the subscribe button. No lurkers. We got plenty of lurkers. We don't need lurkers. We need you to hit the sub button. That's what we need. You wish Batista won the Mania match with Cena, says Joey. That was WrestleMania 26. Yeah, well, again, he was on his way out. He knew he was on his way out, so I get it. I get it. How loud will the CM Punk chants be tomorrow night? They'll be there. They'll be there. I don't think they're going to overwhelm the show or hijack the show or anything, but they'll be there. But again, it was smart for them to announce Randy Orton in advance. They had to. I mean, they really had no choice. Otherwise, they probably would have saved him as a surprise, and it would have been a great moment. But you know what? When they hit his music, it's going to get a big pop no matter what. I assume he's going to have a new remix version of Voices, because I know there is a new remix version of it. I only hope that... I haven't heard it. I actually haven't listened to it, so I hope it's decent. Because sometimes they'll remix people's music, and then they make a big comeback, and it's like, ugh. Just play the original, you know? But I also heard that there's a new version that just dropped of Cult of Personality. Very interesting. From Living Color. Interesting timing on that. Andre says, What is one of the funniest promos you have ever heard? Oh, I mean, there's Lex Luger's Super Brawl Saturday. There's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Start with those. Look those up. Those are some classic ones. No, no lurkers, no Pokemon, no anime. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'll tell you what. When I get out of here, I'm gonna go see if I can find that remix version. I think it's online, right? I think the band that did the Orton thing. I think it's online. I probably should listen to it. I think it's been out for a while. So, anyway, on that note, thank you guys. That's also one of my favorites. Oh, TNA. TNA. We got TNA coming back in 2024. LOL TNA. Now, it's no more LOL TNA. TNA now has a solid roster. People that actually seem to know what they're doing, unlike other people that have run that promotion in years past. Nearly ran it into the ground. Could be some interesting things coming up soon with Impact. TNA. We'll see. Yes, the Ric Flair Jay Lethal promo. The woo-off in Impact. That is a classic as well. Everything old is new again, says the Juliet. Ain't that right? Everything old is new again. It's funny how it always comes back around, right? Even some of the music that WWE uses for their pay-per-views, right? Look at the song they're using for Survivor Series. All right. I will see you tomorrow night. Until then, be well. Stay safe. Thank you for all of the love tonight. Bring some of that back with you tomorrow, too. I'm going to need it. I feel like it's going to be a long night. I know it's not an AEW pay-per-view. Those are long nights. But it's probably be a long night tomorrow, too. And then episode 836 of the Sound Off coming up on Sunday. And then live for Raw Monday. So you got day after day after day, banger after banger after banger, right here on the Sound Off. I'll see you for Survivor Series tomorrow night. Take care, guys.
Fuck Kevin Dunn.